Welcome to Writers Are the Best Weirdos, the podcast starring me, Julia Roberts. I am a creativity coach, speaker, writer, and a weirdo. Aren't you? We're going to answer a lot of questions about pubbing and promoting and marketing your books, so stay tuned. Hi, everybody. We're here with Michael Shyka. And Michael is a really unique person and a client of mine who is writing something that we're going to talk about today in a very interesting application. And let's get to that in a minute. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Michael. He uses the pronouns of sie, zim, and zir. And I just blew that by saying he uses, but sie uses the pronouns of sie, zim, and zir. Witness to the action of co-creation, sie is interested in a self-sensualized artistic experience and process. Sie is a multi-genre, multi-dimensional, sentient artist practiced in the areas of textile design and fashion art, coupled with chapter book writing in the genre of Hermetic Fantastical Realism. Both zir writing, visual, and three-dimensional work involve crafting as a lifestyle, emphasis on comfort and expressiveness in the form of growth, sensuality, gender fluidity, and personal style are essential. A lifetime dedicated to plein watercolor study provides an organic reference for the launching of zir genre of preference. Z gives focus to self-exploration and expression in flow state grounded by attention to craftsmanship and detail. Writing for Michael is more a state of being than doing. There is joy and mindfulness in the process. So I think you already get an idea of what I mean by a unique human that we're talking with right now. And I hope you can really relate to that idea of being grounded in a state of flow, gender fluidity. There's just so much in your bio that speaks to who you are. And it's not something that gets said so often that some of our listeners will have heard it in all these professional, I've got these awards sort of bios. So I hope they can relate to that, or that is inspiring.
I think so. First of all, I just love our interchanges, Julia. And
thank you.
I think that we're all is unique. Just some of us don't go there as much or as far, or don't push it as much, or don't value that uniqueness as much as exploring those aspects of yourself that are very different or feel different, whatever. But we all have that.
We do. We all have that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to just go to the boring, blind you with science for a little moment. And that is that need to conform, which most humans feel, hiding our uniqueness or hiding our weirdness. That need to conform is really hardwired, really baked into the human psyche, because that's how we are surviving. We've survived by imitating people left and right of us, right? And we survived also by, we don't have to, for instance, run faster than the tiger. We have to run faster than that guy. The tiger will get him. So it's really important that we have this ability to compare and fit in, because it's a survivalist tactic. And yet most of us at this point don't really need it to survive. It's left over from thousands, billions, however many millions of years ago. I hate to be ignorant. I don't know what number of years ago. But anyway, okay. So Michael is here because I adore his use of Pinterest in a really creative and innovative way. So let's just start there. Michael, tell us what you're writing and tell us how Pinterest has factored in.
Okay, my first book, the manuscript to a novel, is called Abra's Way, Earth Goddess of Starseed. And it's about an inner and out of journey of a young heroine figure and her gender fluid friends that she meets along this way, and also animals and nature. It's a journey through a very extreme nature.
Because it's long ago, or because it's what?
Oh, yes, the setting is actually 50,000 years in the past, at a time I call like a continuum, in that it is so far in the past that it actually is connected to the future. So there's a futuristic aspect of it. The whole earth is covered completely in ancient ruins. So shelter is not an issue. They can travel a mile and probably find a ancient ruin to shelter in. Yet it's pretty much empty of or not a lot of civilization, yet there's a massive trade routes, because the civilization that is there is traveling on an earth that has a different shape to it. Everything's condensed at this time. So
and so how does Pinterest factor in? How do you use Pinterest?
Okay, well, the lifestyle of the characters is crafting. They're all crafters in different ways. And so I use Pinterest for many different things, from the crafting, and crafting is in dyeing, textile dyeing, and all different areas of craft. And also I use Pinterest for the setting, in terms of, like, one board is called Earth 2000, as in not really 2000 past BC, but 4,000 in the future.
Okay.
And also one board is 3,000, and that's because
So
it's
you
part
have
of the
this
series.
time travel, so you have to create these worlds, and you use Pinterest to basically collect and represent what you're dreaming up. Does that seem?
It is. And I don't actually refer to the boards when I'm writing. That would be too, like, take too much away from the flow. But it's all in my mind, because it's collected all there and organized visually, so that, like, between the boards, Earth 3000 future and Earth 4000 future, we can see how there's a change in, like, what this is a change.
Yeah,
And
of course, it's 1,000 years, right? And that's a change you had to wrap your head around, not only just in general, but graphically. How does it show up?
Graphically,
right?
And for me, it actually gets more to the past. As we go from 3,000 future to 4,000, it gets even deeper, looking to, like, 4,000 BC. Maybe Cretan, Minoan architecture is heavy on that board, and Egyptian, and so
is heavier. Egyptian might be more on the 4,000.
Yes.
And so what might be in the 3,000? I'm just curious.
3,000 is kind of like fantasy castles and very futuristic looking hi-fi glass buildings, and a mixture of that. So that's how I see it, the change for me. And this is for my series, because my series jumps through time.
Well, that's really important. Like, there's continuity in series is very important. So that's you're heading that off at the pass. You're not going to get bit in the proverbials by the continuity things, because you will have already set up these worlds from book one, and from book one's projection into the series, right? That's cool. I mean, continuity gets people into big trouble.
The continuity is kind of it's the idea of about a group of soulmates who travel through time and kind of show up together at different periods. And we all know from science, like, time is not linear, it's circular.
Sometimes I think people represent it in a circle 8. I don't know, but go ahead.
So I save all these different ideas on different boards on Pinterest, plus a lot about color, because there's a tremendous, for me, as an artist, everything evolves around color, and in my writing too, and my characters, and in their situations, in funny ways, different ways. And I have I made up this term, emotional color language, is the kind of ancestral gift that my main character has, and it's what she's running from in the beginning, because she doesn't understand it, and she's getting to a safe place, a sanctuary place, where she will hopefully be accepted in the very end.
I hear a lot of places where a Pinterest board is going to be of use. That character, how she dresses, what she looks like.
Yeah, she has all her boards for her valuables, her style, her clothes, what she comes with, what she gets. I
mean, I can tell you're going to add her clothes. A lot of people might ignore their clothes.
So fashion designer,
you've got a lot of fashion background.
I have to edit out every time I describe the outfit from top to bottom, because it gets a little bit too much.
But I know you have a deep love of fashion, so it's not going to it's going to actually articulate who that character is, right? Like, like, like how they dress is a little bit of who they are. Well, it's
Exactly.
a lot, but people, I think writers often don't so much care about that way of expressing a character. They care more about whatever facial expressions, movements, jobs, for instance,
Mhm.
relationship with their mother. But their mother, and even if in a regular book, a mother and a daughter would dress generationally different, and you could Pinterest that, you could pin those. Mhm.
Exactly.
Right.
And the difference between like her contemporaries and how they dress um, are, and it's at a place I think where the world is of many, many different cultures.
Hmm.
And yet, how do we share those cultures without like sharing like skin color and hair color? It's like to be appropriate, I think it's a fun way to share different culture ideas is through the costume design.
I
And
love that. Right. I love that mindfulness. How do we share that without
well, a
pinning
friend
it
gave
to
me that idea.
stereotypical, yeah, a stereotypical skin color or a stereotypical hairstyle that people would take that as a shortcut to. You've erased
Yeah,
that by having your own language of those cultures.
yeah,
And that
yeah.
I could see that
In
could
the
be.
beginning, I wanted to be inclusive of all races, all ethnicity, and but in a way that would be comfortable. And a dear friend said, "Well, Michael, you've always like um, it's all about clothes and costumes. So just describe their costumes, and the reader will get it."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, if you think of Star Trek or Star Wars or any of those, these
Yeah,
guys dress this way, these guys dress that way, right?
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
That
And
is
so I
cool.
collect a tremendous amount for the different his costumes and
So
inspiration. And
I know a lot of these are private pin boards for you. They're just where you're collecting all this information for your own reference, and also just to cement it in your head. Then when you go off to write, you don't have to go back and go, what color was your hair? Because you know the color of her hair.
I
Because of
do for
this,
specifics, I will check, but not all the time. Yeah,
but you do have public pin boards too, right? And
sure.
are you at the same time, because I know you're very visual and your writing is visual, at the same time, are you collecting an audience or potentially reaching a readership on
I
Pinterest?
think so. Not all of them follow me, but um, it's and if anybody wants to follow along on my Pinterest boards, it's on Pinterest, Michael Shyka, and they're open to many of them are open to the public. What we share, a lot of the fashion, color, trend, textile trend is I follow like trends in textile. Those boards are all there, and yeah, a funny thing happened about 3 years ago. All of a sudden, I was looking for, I was pinning boards of Russian folktale because of the clothing embroidery. Maybe it was 4 years ago. And all of a sudden, after not going on Pinterest for a year, I came back and boom, Russian designers are creating like incredible, like authentic duplications of these actual pieces all across designers all across Russia. It was unbelievable to see all this, how
Mhm.
this dressing for ethnicity, or I think, or heritage dressing is what I call it.
Authenticity, heritage.
Authenticity, yeah, and
Yeah,
heritage dressing is kind of my
both.
word
Right.
for
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Has taken off in that area, and so yeah, so um, and to see all these like very stylish Russian women pinning my boards from my boards and me pinning back and forth, it's yeah, we do develop a
Community, really, right?
community, and
And
yeah,
those are people who share your interests. So
exactly.
I mean, I harp on build your audience as you write your book, because you've been writing 1 year, 2 years,
3 years,
3 years
3 years.
you've been writing this. So in that time frame, you definitely don't want to take away from your writing time, but you want to build people who are aware of you and what you're writing, right?
Right.
So that's, I
Exactly.
think, because of your visualness, Pinterest has been important for that. Is that true?
It's yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and it is communicable. It is community that way. Nobody is building a readership by broadcasting. You're sharing these things that are of interest to you, that's why
Exactly.
they're pitting you and back and forth. Right.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So okay. So, I personally, when I'm starting a book, I often will make a binder. and it'll have pictures of characters, and it'll have pictures of the truck her mother drove, or you know what I mean? So that I keep describing it similarly. And again, I don't even know where it is now because I'm not going to necessarily
Right.
go back to it when I'm writing because it is cumbersome by then.
Right.
But it is by creating these reference points that you continually that you cemented in your head, I think is the primary.
Right. Exactly.
But what I
tear
think is
sheets,
cool about this is, go ahead.
I would not underestimate the value of tear sheets, actual tear sheets. I love tear sheets. It's Pinterest is such an amazing tool that makes that process so much faster because we're just like doing tear sheets just by a search for exactly what we're looking for and pulling the tear sheet that we like and posting it on our page, on our board, and there we have it. And yeah,
And
so
Pinterest then will suggest similar,
exactly.
so then you can think,
And
oh
that's where
yeah,
you have to be careful, like give yourself a limit for 15 minutes at a time or 20 minutes a day, because we could be on there all day spending hours, it's like, that's
it
not
could
the
be a
way.
time suck, right? Yeah. But I mean, when you're starting, you're going to focus there. That's because you
Exactly.
need to, yeah.
And
But
it's kind of like a fun break in between the hours of writing. And, it's like you're having some relaxation time. You can grab it and just like select a couple things that they're suggesting for you that work. And there you go, you're filling up your boards and getting more familiar with your actual style. I guess I'd have to say most of the characters are style obsessed isn't the right word, but their style, they're just really interested in style.
like if
And
they were nowadays, they'd be posting their outfit of the day. Does that seem true?
yeah, they could be. Some of them are posting, some of them would not post it, but they would have this outfit perfect for the day, for whatever the event of the day is. And yeah,
That's fun.
so
So, okay. So you're promoting on Pinterest to some degree or building a community. And then you're also using it privately to basically underpin your work. Tear sheets, you were saying, finding those tear sheets.
image storage. Yeah.
So cool. I really love that. So does it then take you anywhere else? Like, does Pinterest point to anywhere else that you're online? Does it point you to a blog or Facebook or Insta? Do you use it to gather and
I would
point people?
have to check on my board. I'm not sure. I need to get all my platforms connected, like so.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people think of it as a spoken wheel. Like if this is your
not connected. I do have Instagram. I think Instagram is more of an expressive thing for me as an artist on all expressing in all different genres and sharing the process of my painting silk, like from
I know, I can see it in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's your fashion background? How does that come into play? You said fashion background, but what is that really?
I had an amazing opportunity right in college was to be an assistant to New York's premier hand-painted silk fashion artist, Michael Katz. He's passed away recently. But we dressed society women from all over the world and stars, and it was just unbelievable, the experience. And to paint for Michael Katz was amazing because it was such a fast process. Not a minute to sit back or smoke a cigarette and look at what you're doing, because for him, he was like, the faster you do it, the better it's going to look. It'll be fresh. Just go with it. And only person in my history of working for many, many different companies and people that gave me that loved everything I did and gave me complete support and always supported me in my choices because we were on the same page.
The podcast will be back in less than a minute. Hey writers, are your creative juices running low? Are you skipping writing sessions because you're so busy or because you're just tired? Well, there's an easy fix. Really? Try Mighty Write. Mighty Write gets you writing and keeps you writing. Ingredients include creativity, writing, coaching, community, and Zoom sessions. Side effects may include productivity, finished work, bragging, and stupid grins. Try Mighty Write.
Seriously, click on the link for more info about the Mighty Writers Club. Be mighty! The Mighty Writers Club. Find us at go.decodingcreativity.com/mighty.
So that is really like, that's how we understand why we, like, if we think of Avra and getting dressed every day and that, and what she's wearing and how she represents herself, I can see why with your background, this becomes an important part of this characterization, right?
Exactly.
So how does she dress? Avra's your main character,
Well,
right?
when I started to define Abra, I thought, okay,
Abra, sorry. Mhm.
Abra. I love the astrologer. I believe her name is Susan White, and she does Eastern Western, and she has a book that has like hundreds of combinations from your Western sign to your Eastern sign. And so I gave Abra a very specific sign. She's a Taurus snake. Now, I'm a Cancer snake, so we're like really tight in terms of identity, I think. And from that, her colors are red. She wears quartz a lot. She also likes gold and green, earth tones too. She's just a earthy crafter. Her thing is she forges for dye products to create her own dyes, and it's been passed down in her ancestry and her family. And so that's what she does. That's what her interest is to create these amazing dyes for her textiles that are like accessed through trade around the world. And she's quite well known even as a youngster for the quality of dye that she creates. And this is kind of before she sets off on her journey. So she has that ahead of her.
So I get it now. I mean, that's why I'm glad you could like sort of put her in our brains so we can understand how Pinterest helps flesh that out and how anybody could do that with their main character or with an antagonist as well. Well, how do they dress? How has life disappointed them and how does that show up in their clothes? I'm talking about a villain probably, or, a main character is definitely also a
Absolutely.
dimensional person and has an outfit, and a look that they're,
Yeah, and the character she plays off of, the whole book is the journey, but in the end, she gets to her community, where it's basically kind of a prep school for royalty princesses becoming high priestesses. They're all acolytes, and so and they're from all different nationalities. And so the thing there is everybody starts kind of exchanging their clothes, like Abra all of a sudden gets to wear kimonos instead of her tunics. And so it's kind of like just like being young in high school
I
and
like that.
college,
Yeah.
where you get to like wear your roommate's clothes. And but these clothes are like embroidered in gold and of like the most beautiful,
So
colors and stuff. So,
right now you're holding those private. Do you think when your book comes out, you might
oh,
allow
absolutely.
some?
Yeah. I got to keep some secrets. It's a competitive field.
Well, and also it's just, it's your writing. So what you feel is right and good is good. But ultimately showing your work or having that insider's peak for people is really a cool, not just marketing, but community builder. Like this connection that they feel with you is broadened by this, especially for you, this visual outlay of what, what your process was. Doesn't that seem, I mean, to me, that seems really true. I'm not
It does,
visual that
yeah.
way. Like I've never been on Pinterest practically. I think I have an account, but I almost never go there. But so it's so cool to me that you can show us your work and how you use it and how it shows up in your people. That's what I love about it, how it shows up in your characters and your people. But I would caution, or I would not caution, but I would also say that's great. And then keep in mind how to use it to build your community as you write so that you can have a couple thousand followers by the time your book comes out and it'll affect your
Right.
book. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's research. I need to research into how to get those connections going more on Pinterest. It's very doable, I'm sure. And I like what you said before, because for me, writing really is about painting with words instead of my
Yeah.
brush.
Uh-huh.
It's using words and phrases to paint with, and Yeah, and visuals, I think, to write with. I'm getting confused.
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense what you're saying. It's like you are painting an entire world because you
Yeah,
see it all and you don't want someone to not see what you see. Whereas
exactly.
a,
Exactly.
if other writers who are more verbal might, by contrast, paint less of the surround and more of the internal dialogue or the feelings or
Right.
the, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that
Exactly.
you don't want people talking in a white space that isn't a space. You know what I mean? You do
Exactly.
want people put in a context, but your context is really, really important to you because you're painting it. It's like
Hmm.
full and, full and colorful and available to the reader. They don't
Hmm.
have to second guess anything. So
Right.
anyway, but I think that's really cool. I like that idea of painting a story.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh, I really am a verbal human. Anyway, anything else to share about Pinterest that people might, other ways they might use it or other things that you might, and then I definitely want you to repeat the name of your book that's
I
coming.
started using it. I had a rep in New York that repped textile designs to the New York and international market, and she would pin all of her picks from the new collections for me, so that I could see what she liked and what she wanted me to focus on for coming up with new textile designs. And the colors, she would do boards of color. Like she probably would share like maybe 12 boards from the hot colors of the year coming up and the hot trends. And
Mhm.
so I have those are all available too, going back years and years and years. Um, and it's just such a great way to access visuals.
Mhm.
And when you're really stuck and you need to like define something specifically, you can pull up the picture and just write, from the description. Like if I want to describe a certain tree and I have that pinned, or I just pin one cypress tree, then I can look at it, see how the leaves fall and see how the shape is, everything is, so I can describe it. If I can't find that tree in nature, that's
I was just going to say,
a
that's an
top thing.
amazing part. Yeah, that's an amazing part of how we write today. But Pinterest has the pictures. Google, you can Google an image, but not quite the same.
Well, you can Google it, but if Pinterest, you can save it, so it's there
Yeah.
to return to later.
And
And
these people are
if
inhabiting a world, so you want them to inhabit a consistent world, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I like to see it all laid out in a specific way. If somebody came in my Pinterest board and started moving things around, I don't think I'd like it, because I have like every picture arranged, like how I like to see everything all together. And so that's kind of the fun of Pinterest too, is you can really create your like dream environment.
I've
And
seen it used lately on like home improvement shows. They'll put up
absolutely,
a Pinterest, they'll print out their Pinterest in essence to show the audience what they've pinned, you know. We're
yes.
gonna do this New England cottagey look, and that's this kind of thing and this kind of
Right.
blanket. Yeah.
Yeah, you can even search for that idea too.
Very cool. Well, I really wanted to share this point of view because I think, like I said, I do a binder. It's very old school, but I do think, and I think it's limited because it's whatever you found that one time. Whereas I think your life, your way in Pinterest is just much more fluid, much more available to the writer afterwards, and can really help someone sustain a consistent character, consistent clothing, consistent worlds. And I just really wanted to share that with our listeners. So I really appreciate that coming forward. Tell people what you're writing again, because it's going to come out kind of soon, right? Not
Hopefully
necessarily
soon.
tomorrow.
There's a couple, I have some revisions to do, or work on the
Mm-hmm.
revision. New ideas keep popping up when I want to like finish it. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I
Mhm.
gotta like change this detail. It's gonna make
But
it
you're not
all.
going to be a perfectionist, right? But you're going to
No,
be a
no, 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 no.
qualitist.
There's
But you
another
are
book
going to be
out
a
there.
qualitist,
Yeah,
craftsman.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And there's some things that just need to be looked at in a certain way and perfected, and others don't have to be so perfect. But it's called Aber's Weight, Earth Goddess of Star Seed. And oh,
Earth goddess is something that's
yeah,
kind of a real pull. People like, you know what I mean? That's really a trend right now. Not a big trend, like,
absolutely.
but
It's about a time on the earth where where civilization has been, the mindset is with not matriarchy. So it's been eons of matriarchy behind them, and it's at a flexing point where it's changing, and there's things have happened on Earth at this time, so the giant civilizations are gone, and they're just left with what they have, and to build on that. And so
you called it fantastical realism, and you used the word hermetic. What does that mean, hermetic?
Hermetic refers to the laws of the universe.
Okay.
Hermes is like a reference, and it's a philosopher from ancient Greece. And the laws, basically, for me, magical realism it needs to have a context or an understanding of the laws of the universe. And I mean, basically, the first law is all is one, it's love. It's just that there's only one energy. Everything is energy, and it's just one, it's all. And it goes on and on. Laws of gender, laws of polarity, many different laws. And to have an understanding, and not say that I have a great or deep understanding, but a basic understanding of this, and how that, and working with that, you can really see magical like things happen. But of course, it's not magic in that the characters create it. It's from source, and it's just seeing. It's getting hard to explain here.
No, you don't. I mean, I just like that genre. I think it's an interesting genre, hermetic fantastical realism.
And it does have a connection to healing from the colonial, patriarchal,
of course,
capitalistic healing from that mindset. That is also the other important part of like fantastical realism, is there's that involved. There is a connection to the colonial mindset. That's what,
and moving beyond that.
Moving beyond that to probably a better, like for me, it's like we all place so much importance on ownership. And is how, I mean, does anybody have the right to own natural resources, water, earth, air?
That's a big dialogue, a big conflict in the
really
world.
Is. It's like, do we really, like, how? And a solution is how much better would be to steward those resources.
I mean, I'm in California, so water is owned and meted out based on water rights. Yeah, not so much here as upstream in the desert. There's individuals have water rights for water in their farms, and those are locked in. But we don't have to get into politics.
No, I don't think it's everything. Nothing needs to be changed except for the ideology that stewardship is a healthier aspect. To steward these things that we think we own is much healthier than actually thinking that we own these. And so it gives us responsibility. We're responsible to something greater than just ourselves, our ego.
So you said that rule number 1, I think that's a great place to stop. What was rule number 1, the Hermetic rule? All is
one.
And love is everything.
I'm probably not. I mean, I don't take me.
But I mean, it's just a great way it's a great feeling. Doesn't that evoke a great feeling? All is one and love is all.
Yeah, it's like everything's connected. And it's like these rules are shown by modern science. It backs up every universal principle.
And they were created thousands of years ago, right?
Yeah. But now we're seeing it with modern science. And it's fascinating. Yeah, I'm no expert on this.
No, but you're writing fiction, so you don't really need to be. Right. You're writing fiction. You're not writing a diatribe or a manifesto. But thank you very much for sharing that. I really would like to encourage people to go out and try using Pinterest for character creation, world creation, consistency in if you're writing a series, and continuity, people really have a hard time with continuity. So that's a really, that really comes up to bite them. Book 3, do you really want to stop and read book 1 again and find out, So Michael, you told me about this some time ago, maybe a half a year ago, and I've long thought to myself, highly valuable little innovative use of Pinterest. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, you can find Michael at pinterest.com/Michael Shyka, Shyka. All right, thank you. We'll talk to you later. Hey, thanks for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell your friends. What did you learn today? What was your takeaway? What are you going to do today? Put it in the comments. We all want to know. Meanwhile, get my book, Write Without the Fight. You want to master your creative process so you can write with more ease and satisfaction. The links are all in the description box. Join us, because writers are the best weirdos.